Every single week, I sit down with people to review their retirement plans. And every single week, I see the same problems, red flags that most people don't even realize are issues until it's too late to fix them. So today, I'm breaking down the top 5 retirement red flags that I'm seeing in the real world right now so that you can make sure your plan actually holds up when it matters the most. Now, my name is Scott Caulfield. I'm a CPA and CFA charter holder and the founder of Sophos Wealth Management. One of the most common red flags I see are when people come up with these DIY financial plans that only work in perfect conditions. I always feel kind of bad. Somebody will come in, they've put a ton of hours and a ton of work into creating their own Excel spreadsheet. It's got a ton of detail, a lot of thought into it, but it's often either missing critical things or has overly optimistic assumptions. These assumptions include things like they're just going to achieve average long-term returns every year. So they'll just say the portfolio is going to grow at 8% every year or 7% every year or 10% every year, or even worse, 12 or 15%. They're not taking into account things like sequence of return risk, the idea that you could have a bad few years of returns early in retirement. These kind of plans often don't account for things like long-term care cost, healthcare cost, inflation. And what you find with these kind of DIY plans is that little mistakes, little forgotten assumptions make a massive difference. One, because of compounding. I mean, if you just leave out healthcare costs for a few years and all of a sudden your costs are 10, 20,000 higher than you expected, that makes a massive difference. If you either understate or forget inflation altogether, that makes a huge difference down the line. If you haven't accounted for long-term care costs potentially down the road, your plan might look overly optimistic. So you just find some key things missed in these plans that give people a false sense of security that they're ready for retirement when you really run a more robust plan with a lot more scenario analysis and more realistic assumptions can prove that maybe is not as strong as people think. So definitely one of the biggest flags that I see most commonly is people with DIY plans that are overly optimistic. The second big red flag I see is people underestimating their actual spending. And funny enough, you often see this in those same DIY plans I mentioned before. A lot of times when I ask people to come up with an estimate of their spending or a budget, they'll come up with a number that is significantly lower than what we find out later is their true spending number. In fact, I would estimate that on average, people underestimate it by about 30%. One of the things I love to have new clients do is we'll look at a couple years of tax returns. We'll figure out what was your take-home pay the last couple of years, and then we'll compare that to what they actually managed to save. How much did you put into your 401ks, IRAs, savings accounts, checking accounts? And to me, that's probably your true spending number. If you got somebody who has an after-tax take-home pay of $150,000 and they saved between their IRA and savings accounts $30,000, that means their spending number is really more like $120,000. And yet they'll often come up with a number well under $100,000. So, where did the extra $20,000 go? The problem with people and their DIY budgets and estimates is they just kind of forget those pesky one-offs, right? It's things like, oh, I needed a new roof. Oh, I needed a new car. Oh, I had to do this trip. I had to do that. And the thing about these one-offs is, individually they may be a one-off, but if you look across 2-3 years, you'll find that there is a one-off every few months and it adds up. Underestimating spending has a massive impact on your retirement plan. In fact, this is the biggest lever in your own control in terms of adjusting your retirement plans. Now, the third red flag I often see is people that have too much in their company stock. I'm based in the greater Seattle area, and it's really common here to see people who have 90% or more of their liquid investable assets in their employer stocks. We've got people who work at Amazon, Microsoft, Google, SpaceX. They've got RSUs or company stock. And, those companies have done tremendously well over the last 5, 10, even 20 years. An object in motion often stays in motion, and people just overly concentrate in their employer stocks. While that's helped them build wealth, it's a huge risk going forward. Not only is your job tied to your employer, your bonus tied to your employer, but your entire portfolio is tied to your employer. So to me, this is a big red flag because it is a huge risk, especially for those nearing retirement. When you're 5, 10 years out, having 90% all tied up into your employer is just a massive, massive risk. That is definitely a red flag, something to look out for and to think about coming up with a plan to diversify away from. Of course, you got to do that in a tax smart way. The next one you often see, big red flag, is overconfidence after bull markets. So, the stock market has done tremendously well. Really, from 2009 to 2025, the S&P total return has been compounding at almost 15% a year. It's 14.8%. So the market has been on an absolute tear for a really long time. Now, compare that to the long-term average return is closer to 10% return. So we've almost done a 50% higher return per year over the last 16 years. However, this has led people to enter retirement being way overly optimistic on future returns, and has also resulted in asset allocations that are usually too risky for people's goals and risk tolerances. So people are just assuming that what has happened since 2009 is going to continue indefinitely into the future. And to me, this is a huge red flag. I think, at a baseline, you should not be more optimistic than the long-term historical average of markets. But in my personal opinion, you should probably be more pessimistic given current valuation levels. So, paradoxically, if the market's done really, really good lately, you want to bring down your forecast for future returns. If it's done really, really poorly, then you often bump up your expectation of future returns. And, this is all just based on valuations. If you buy stocks cheap, you're going to expect them to do well in the future. Buy it expensive, probably not going to get as good of returns. And as I've shown people before, if you look at valuation charts, we are currently at or near the most expensive level in US history. This chart I'll show you here is just an average of 4 valuation factors, and you can see we are in really rarefied air, but you should not be overly optimistic on future stock returns from here. And the other, red flag I see in this area is that people have this sort of forgotten asset allocation. You'll have somebody who has not rebalanced their portfolio in 10 years, and you'll find somebody at 60 or 55 or 65, almost in their retirement years, and they'll be 90% in aggressive tech stocks because, it's done well so far, and an object in motion stays in motion, not realizing just what a massive risk this is going forward. So make sure that you're not just sort of in a forgotten asset allocation. Make sure that you're not being complacent because, we've been in a really great bull market for so long. Now, another red flag I often see is lifestyle creep before retirement. It's pretty common to see people will make a big purchase right before retirement. You'll see somebody buy an RV or a second home. And the huge problem with this is it locks you into really high fixed costs going forward. Now, this is really going to depend on your individual situation. For some people, that second home easily fits into their retirement plan. And hey, that's great. Good for you. But a lot of people don't really realize the true cost of adding things like an RV and the fixed cost it locks you into. And they're maybe overly optimistic on how often they're going to use it. And after a couple of years of hardly using it, dumping a ton of money into it and taking 20-30% depreciation off the lot or more, they have to turn it back in for a significant loss, which was not part of people's plans. Another huge area here to be wary of, the parental ATM. This is continually helping your adult children financially. Things like cars, down payments, weddings, maybe even helping out with kids' private school tuition. Again, these things are awesome if it fits into your plan and if you have the financial flexibility to do, by all means, help family. But if this is something that is not in your plan and these, one-offs keep happening, I see people who are already kind of pushed to the brink sometimes, already making aggressive assumptions, already needing a withdrawal rate that is at the very, very limit of what they could get away with. And all of a sudden they're dipping in a little bit higher to help kids when, if you're not in a position to retire confidently yourself, you should not be helping your adult children very often like this. So just a red flag to be aware of. Having high fixed costs, whether it is these big purchases, whether it is helping kids, it reduces your flexibility. It reduces your ability to weather a downturn. It reduces your ability to weather high inflation going forward. So, I always think that people that have lower fixed costs and have a budget for sort of optional things like really great travel and really great experiences, they can kind of get away with a higher withdrawal rate knowing that it's easy to cut back on those optional things. Those who are sort of locked into high expenses cannot have that same sort of flexibility and higher withdrawal rates because it is so much harder to cut back if things don't go right. So hopefully these red flags give you some good things to work with. Retirement shouldn't be a guessing game. If you recognize any of these flags in your own plan, now is the time to adjust. If you found this helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel for more insights into building a retirement plan that actually works for you.